Hello guys and welcome to our YouTube channel SSS Club. So this is video number 3. Can you recognize who is
So, we are the creators of SSS Club.
And I'm Sampreet Roy and with me is
Shourjo Upadhyaya.
Okay, now our video quality. So we are giving you the best quality. So in today's video, we'll be narrating the second part of our first story. So if you haven't seen our previous video, then please, then we will do a live question answer session. So quickly subscribe to our channel and also share this video with your friends so that it reaches 100 and then we can have a live question answer session. So please subscribe. It's recording.
Okay.
Can sharing my screen.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, Neelanshu. Yeah, you start from chapter 5. Chapter
Me?
5. Yeah, you.
Neelanshu will start.
The meeting will end soon, I think.
Start Neelanshu chapter 5, the complex
That's the
riddles.
point.
Really? exclaimed John. His blue eyes were popping out of his head, and he was very scared. It's true, John, said Dash. The evil shadow frog is after us. Somebody wants to keep us as puppets in his hand. I bet he is one trying to destroy my family and keeping all evidence of us. But who is he? Said John. I don't know, said Dash. How do we get to see the past then? Said John. One part is complex, said Dash. Another easy. The complex part is the riddles which you have to answer. The easy part is that you need to get prepared for an oral test. But who will ask me the riddles? Said John. Well, it's me. Who? I cannot see.
Then zoom it.
Start from one part is complex. One part is complex. Start from there.
Wait,
Your
I'm sorry.
voice is...
Actually, keep quiet.
Voice from.
Neelanshu, you are dubbing someone else's voice.
One part is complex. Start from there.
This is not your real voice.
Oh, really?
Start with what is complex.
One part is complex, said Dash. Another easy. The complex part is the riddles which you have to answer. The easy part is that you need to get prepared for an oral test. But who will ask me the riddles? Said John. Well, it's me who will be taking the oral test. But in the castle, it can be anything as it's bewitched. It can be the doors, walls, said Dash. I understand, John interrupted. When are we going then? Well, first let's make ourselves comfortable in a guest house, said Dash. Then we will decide. Okay, Dash, said John. The concept is completely clear. The duo started their journey to a guest house. They stayed there for the night and then set out at morning. They stopped at the same footpath in the street intersection and then Dash said, "Here begins your oral test." "Why here?" said John. "You'll see," said Dash, then tucked his hand into his coat pocket and took out his wand. He whirled it round and round and crimson fire blazed out of it, and all John could see was reddish blue flames. Smoke disappeared into thin air, and John could see himself in front of his stately palace. "Now answer me, John. How did we get here?" said Dash. John promptly answered, "We got here by magic. You didn't chant any incantations, but it was true magic. You have passed the oral test, John." Slide.
Start. Resume.
Said Dash. "Now go." Then some black smoke came and Dash disappeared. John entered the castle. He ascended a creaky staircase. Suddenly, in the second floor, a high wall broke his path. John was prepared for the challenge. Then a voice echoed, "To pass this area, you have to solve 3 complex riddles." These horizontal golden divisions appeared on the wall. When you answer the first question, a horizontal segment of the wall will disappear. When all the questions are answered, the wall will disappear. If you fail to answer, you will be trapped here forever. Slow down.
Resume.
John took a deep breath, thought for a moment, and asked, "Okay, say the riddles." The riddles are: the first, "At night I came without being fetched. By day I am lost without being stolen." The second, "It is a thing. When we look at it, always look back at us." The third, "I touch your face. I am in your words. I am lack of space and I am loved by birds. John thought for a while and answered. The first is stars, second word is mirror, and the third is air. You answered all the questions correctly. You are wise enough to proceed. The wall disappeared and John started to climb the stairs. He reached the fifth floor and saw many pictures hanging on the walls and many rooms as well. He saw that the looks of the faces of the men in the picture had some similarities with his looks. He understood that they were his ancestors. In all this, he forgot about Darsh, but Darsh was seeing everything through magic. John now started checking his room, but could not find anything. In despair, he went to the last room and saw a magic book inside a glass case. He thought, maybe that book contains the history of magic. As soon as he was going to move one step towards it, someone cried, wait, or this room, what has happened to this sentence? Wait, John, this room,
Wait, sorry. Continue.
wait,
What
John,
happened?
this room is full
Continue.
of traps. John looked behind to see Darsh standing. You pass the stairs, John. The floor is made of black and white tiles. Only step on the white tiles, the black ones. Hold on.
The black ones
The
are
black,
bloody devils.
the black ones are bloody traps. Slowly and carefully, John walked toward the case and then opened it. He took the old and dusty book and turned to leave. But as he was going to turn, his foot touched the edge of a black tile. The floor began to crumble behind him. Come here, quick, John. Come here, quick, John. Here, Dash. John just managed to run out of the room as the floor crumbled behind him. Now let's see the book, said Dash. John opened the book to see strange letters and symbols written in gold ink. Sort of. What is this language, Dash? Said John, giving the book to Dash. As Dash read the book, his eyes sprang and he said, I believe this book lists the long line of the Shaffer family.
Sparkled.
So, chapter number 6, I'm going to start to read. Chapter number 6, the long line of the Shaffer family. There is a way to read this language. You have to find it. Darsh was flicking page after page, and John was staring at him awkwardly. This language is the 19th century's traditional language spoken by the magical community, responded Darsh. Perhaps the translation of the alphabets in English will help us, asked John. That's a great idea, John, said Darsh. Let's search the castle. It makes sense that the translation will be here. So saying, they walked a short distance and then saw themselves above a steep staircase. John, said Darsh, let's descend the staircase. Step down slowly and carefully, as they may be bewitched. So saying, Darsh and John started to descend the stairs when suddenly the book flipped from Darsh's hands and the stair on which he was standing started to crumble. Save me, John, shouted Darsh. I'll free you in no time, said John. And in a fraction of a second, he grabbed Darsh's arm and started descending the stairs very fast. The other stairs behind him were also crumbling. They, however, managed to descend the stairs. You're a brave boy, said Darsh. Thanks, said John. They explored the castle and then found a barrier in the 9th floor. Then a voice echoed, you may cross this segment to see the long line of the family which resided here. The barrier broke apart and John and Darsh crossed it. They entered a beautifully lit room and found it full of paintings in which the English translation was also given. First, they found a picture of a stout man with a curved smile and a hat. The name read Shourjo Shaffer, 1589 to 1669 CE. Another one was a picture of a tall and young man with horn-rimmed spectacles. The name read Dennis Shaffer, 1652 to 1701 CE. Another one was the picture of a short and old man who looked like a cartoon character. His name was Donner Edward Cullen, 1722 to 1800 CE. Darsh said, your family dates back to the 16th century, and we finally have found the Edwards. I think Donner is Charles's father. I can see that, said John. Then they turned towards the next portrait, which was very big, and the picture was completely blurred, and the only things visible were an eye and long hair. The name was written in the same strange magical language. As you can see, 1800 to 1873 CE. This is Charles, exclaimed Darsh. I can see that too. 1873 is written, said John. All of a sudden, the same voice echoed. Welcome to the past. We don't need tickets. Tickets, responded John. Why tickets? I don't know, said Darsh, but I think tickets is the key to everything related to magic. Maybe, said John. Then they started whirling as they had done while going to the accident zone. Chapter 7, he loses his eyesight. Shourjo, you can read.
They whirled and whirled and whirled until they were at the same place, when everything swam into view. A Chinese maid happened to pass the way, but she did not notice them, as they were invisible. They saw a calendar with the date marked 3rd June 1807. A small boy seemed to run, and it was Charles indeed. Suddenly the duo started to whirl again. Now they were in 1863. The calendar was not there, neither the maid nor the small boy, yet they were in the same room. Opera music could be heard for a moment. John looked through a glass window and saw many people running down. An old man was carrying a black-coated man in a cart. The old man was carrying the same dragon-headed wand in his pocket, but instead of Shaffer's, the words were missing salamander. The old man had a starry tattoo on his hand, and he had a skeletal face. His appearance was ghostly, and he was wearing a purple cloak. Little did Darsh and John know that the castle was on fire. But suddenly from inside cautioned them, then only did they run down. When they had reached the bottom of the stairs, they saw the old man with the cart. John tried to snatch the wand, but the old man spotted him and put him in the cart too. He flicked his wand at Darsh, who had already disappeared. The old man replied in a rogue's voice, "You two are criminals and are going to federal prison." John was horrified. Actually, the black-coated man was Charles. He said, "Who are you? Reveal the truth. Everything's good in me." "I am John Shaffer, Edward Shaffer IV," said John. "Well, I am Edward Shaffer the first, Charles. But how come you are here? You are not yet born. Am I right? Do you have access to magic?" "I am from 1947, said John. "You have to solve a mystery." "What?" asked Charles. "You'll die in 1873, said John. "Of an accident. I saw that happening. Some red light from the skies will hit you. You'll be blind at that time," said John. Charles took out a narrow casket out of his pocket and said, "This is poison to make me blind. This thing is bewitched. If I don't drink it, I'll die. So should I drink it?" "Wait, who is that man?" asked John. "He's a dangerous man," said Charles, and he whispered, "Sorcerer." "What?" exclaimed John. "Great-grandson," said Charles. "He is from the evil Shadow Folk. He may kill us. A few days ago, a father and a son died in a bike accident. The bike was bewitched by him. They were Indians." This all sounded familiar to John as Darsha told him about this. He thought, so this old man was a sorcerer, main culprit behind the crimes. "I have to be careful. I have to drink it now." Charles drank the potion in one gulp and fell asleep. Then he woke up and yelled. "I can't see," John replied. "Relax, Charles. I'll put an end to this sorcerer."
Now, chapter 8. Rajveer, you can read chapter 8, The Evil Sorcerer.
"Where is Sukrit?"
Sukrit has left. Maybe he can't join right now. Rajveer, read it. Chapter 8, The Evil Sorcerer.
"There is no problem at all," said Charles. "You only have to face this man." John nodded. By the time they had reached the sorcerer's castle, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
you're
we can.
audible. Continue.
Dark shadows of the evil shadowfolk chained them to a door. "Say the key, otherwise you will die," shouted the sorcerer. John muttered, "Tickets." The door pushed open to show a prison, and John and Charles' chains were released, and then they were pushed into the prison. On one wall of the prison, there was a salamander's picture. John saw it and said, "Charles, here's a picture of a salamander. It looks like the dragon of the historical wand." Charles snarled and said, "I can't see," and that wand's head was of a salamander's only. Listen to the story. John was looking surprised. Charles narrated, around 2170 BC, Aristotle and Arcturus had parted ways. It is rumored that they had died. Aristotle was never found on Earth, whereas Arcturus was reborn as a salamander. At that time, there were no divisions, and everybody lived peacefully until one day, this evil sorcerer disintegrated the world into 3 divisions. Arcturus, now salamander, was hiding until one day the sorcerer spotted him and turned him into a dragon. That at that time, that dragon was never found, so he went missing. Since then, he has been called Missing Salamander. That's why when the wand was formed, it received his name, and the sorcerer got it. But how come my friend Darsh had my wand, which is the same as the sorcerer, but has Shaffer's written? "Who is Darsh?" asked Charles. He's an old man who guided me here. He has received my wand. He saw you in 1873 and researched about our family. Replied John. I've got it. The sorcerer created another wand with all the powers. That means all of us are related. Suddenly
Blood
the
related.
sorcerer came. Whatever. Suddenly the sorcerer came and shot a spell at the prison. In a fraction of a second, Charles broke the cage bars with his cutlass, and John ran away from the room towards the door. The battle had begun.
And now chapter 9.
The sorcerers started chasing John and Charles. The duo ran as fast as they could towards the castle door. But suddenly the floor started cracking. John desperately said, Charles, what do we do? Charles snatched John's wand and blasted a spell at the floor. Well, that was a bad move. It made the floor crack faster. The floor crumbled and John and Charles fell in a pit. Ah! They shouted. The pit looked very deep. They landed on the ground with a thud. They had got some bruises. John was becoming desperate. Charles was thinking of an elevation spell when suddenly a glass... Charles asked, John, how much time have we spent in this pit? John looked at his watch and said, 10 minutes, John. We have spent 10 years in that pit. John now looked even more awkward and said, what? But we have spent only 10 minutes there. John replied after looking at his watch. Charles gave a worried smile and said, 1 minute in that pit is equal to 1 year in the actual world. This was the sorcerer's trick. John was now very angry. He looked back. He took back his wand from Charles. After they came out of the bed and elevator vanished, John broke the door. Footsteps were ringing and the door could understand who it was. John asked, where will we go now? Charles replied, to the railway station. But why there? Said John. My fate is linked to that place. Charles responded. He wore his train driver badge and the duo teleported to the station. Charles choked the train
Guys, I
driver.
can't hear anything.
Please don't interrupt Rajveer. Neelanshu, continue.
Charles choked the train driver of the train, which was waiting for the passengers, wore a hat and spectacles, and waited on the rail line. John spotted the sorcerer dashing at him.
Please
At that
don't
very
interrupt.
moment,
You can't
John saw
hear.
Charles.
Continue.
Oh,
Continue, Neelanshu.
At that very moment, John saw Charles thrown from.
Fine, I'll read it. I'll read it. Just
Wait. Wait, Rajveer, I think you have disconnected from audio. Maybe Rajveer is disconnected from audio. I cannot do anything.
Type it. Open the screen and type it, or we have to type. Maybe then he can.
Fine, I'll read it.
Wait. Okay, Shourjo, you read it.
Okay. Chapter 10. The mystery is solved. Blast! John didn't even know what a powerful spell he had shot. What he did know was that the flash of red light he shot went straight through the weak killing spell shot by the sorcerer and burnt him into ashes. He only had a moment to see what he had done. When Charles yelled, "Duck, John!" Then he saw that the flash of red light had reflected from the sorcerer's ashes and was hurtling towards him. He barely had time to crouch as the bolt of red light flew over his head. A moment later, the flash of blinding red light left John seeing spots. As he turned around, he saw Charles lying dead on the railway line with red white eyes. Oh, sorry, what have you written? I just told red white eyes.
Yeah. It starts from flash. A moment later, flash.
The flash of blinding red light left John seeing spots. As he turned around, he saw Charles lying dead on the railway line with white eyes. John was horrified. He understood he himself was Charles's murderer. As he stood motionless, an orb of crystal appeared. It grew larger and larger until it sucked John inside. It began to spin faster and faster. John saw Durst standing beside him. He smiled and said, "Brave man, you saved the world. You destroyed the evil shadow folk as the sorcerer was the one who created it and was controlling it, and the mystery is also solved. So now I can go back to my home country, India." So saying, he disappeared. John's vision went completely blank. When his vision cleared, he was back in the orphanage. The next day, there was a large headline on the first page of the New York Times newspaper. Scroll down.
The New York Times, 21st October
1947. Let me read. 17 pages, 50 cents. The 74-year-old mystery is solved. John Shaffer 16 is the murderer of the train driver whose name is Edward Shaffer IV, aka Charles. Is this true? Reporters will interview him. The interview will be voiced over the radio. See page 5 for full article. Scroll down. As promised, reporters came to his orphanage at noon to interview John. However, when Miss Trenchard opened the door to his room, the spare key to the reporters, there was a shocking sight. John was gone and the wand was broken in two halves. He was never ever found again. Charles's mystery was solved, but John's and the wand remained unsolved. The broken wand is with the American government. Scientists, archaeologists, historians, etc. continue to research on it, but to this day, they don't have any clue and it remains a mystery.
So now we are going to acknowledgements. I'm reading the acknowledgements. I hope you've enjoyed reading this story. I would like to thank all my friends for helping me in this story. I'd like to thank Shourjo and Rajveer the most because of their significant contribution. Sukrit and Neelanshu have also given many ideas and suggestions. Thank you. Sampreet Roy, creator and president.
I can hear.
Kolkata, August 2019. We present you our next adventure of the series, The Great Adventures #2, The Ocean.
I can hear you.
I don't know.
Chapter number 1, College Life.
A short summary. So now we are going to give you a short summary of our next story, which is The Ocean of Secrets, The Great Adventures #2. College professor Masur Qasim gets drawn by marine life, and then with 6 college students, he discovers an ocean full of mysteries. Thank you all. I'll once more read the summary of the story, The Mystery of Edward Shaffer IV, the story which I just now read. When Edward Shaffer IV, aka John, gets to know about his great-grandfather's death, he goes fast to see what happens, and then he goes on an adventure to try and solve his great-grandfather's death mystery. So,
Okay, can you tell me what will you do with the recording?
Wait. So we have completed reading the whole story. We have read the whole story, and as now due to the coronavirus epidemic, please stay home, stay safe.
Pandemic, not epidemic. It's a pandemic.
Yes, sorry, pandemic. Stay home and stay
Panda.
safe.
Stay home, stay safe, stay push.
So everyone,
So guys, did you enjoy this story?
Please let us know in the comment section
In
below.
the comment section below.
And if you have enjoyed it, then give yourself a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also let us know down in the comment section below. And if you are satisfied with our work,